Hey, Chris, how are you doing today, man?
Hey man, I'm doing okay. How are you?
Things are going really well.
I gotta say, before the mics got live, I've been whining and complaining. I gotta keep on doing it a little bit. We're recording on a Saturday afternoon, and it is my fault. So you don't have to hold me accountable. I'll hold myself accountable. Tell them what happened and why I'm an idiot.
I'm glad we got that on the recording there. You just missed the day, man. We were supposed to record on a Thursday night, and I don't know what happened. You blew it.
And now my weekend of rest and stuff is disrupted because I'm looking for the Mountaineer basketball game in an hour and a half, and I got a new account with ESPN Plus that I'm gonna have to watch this thing on there, and so my brain is kind of I'll dial in here in a little bit, but I got to be honest, my brain is kind of on basketball right now. We're playing Kansas, so bear with me on a Saturday afternoon with another edition of Through a Therapist's Eyes, the podcast. We invite you to see the world through the lens of a real mental health and substance abuse therapist to create emotional growth. Being aware that this is not a delivery of therapy services in any way, shape, or form. Looking for feedback and discussion, go see our website, throughatherapistseyes.com. Craig, we're going to talk about the human emotional experience. What shall we do?
Figure it out together.
Yes.
Hey, the cool thing about ESPN Plus is you can go back and stream that game.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's how the fight. At least that's how the fights are. I can go back and rewatch the fight.
Right. So because I figured I'd do that as my my fun fact about myself. Yeah, I got ticked off because I had to go get an account with ESPN Plus this afternoon just so I could watch my daggone basketball game. That's one thing I've always done for myself is I get the NFL package, and I do like the Fox Sports so I can really watch my sports at home. Through all the time of managing kids and you don't get to go out as much and whatnot, and I always kind of for myself wanted to make sure I had that. And so it bounced me, and luckily a week ago I found a bundle on ESPN.com/bundle. Check this out, man. $13.95. I don't know why they can't just say $14, but it's $14 a month. I get ESPN Plus, I get Disney Plus, The Mandalorian for Star Wars is on there, by the way, and supposedly Hulu, although they're screwing with me, they can't get me activated. That's a pretty good deal.
That is a pretty good deal.
Right?
Yeah. Is that the cost, or is that a limited time, or what?
It looked like the cost, man.
Interesting.
There was no limitation on it.
Yeah, we had Hulu. I had Hulu. I don't have any cable. I just stream. So I've got a YouTube subscription, so I don't have to watch ads. I've got ESPN Plus that I pay $4.99 a month for, just so we can watch UFC fights, basically.
But see, now we can come to my house.
And yeah, we can. And then my ex-wife got Disney Plus, and of course my kids spend a week here and a week there, so they've logged on to Disney here, and so we watch that when they're here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I am a Star Wars geek.
I've heard that's good. I've heard the Star Wars movies are terrible.
Oh no!
They brought the Emperor back.
Yeah,
I just heard
awesome.
I heard it sucked.
No.
Everybody I listen to says it's not good.
Really?
Yeah.
My buddy, he turned me on to some YouTuber out there, and he was raving on it, talking about how
most people. Ben Shapiro was ripping it, and I listened to him the other day, and he's a big Star Wars geek, and I like Star Wars too. That Han Solo movie on Netflix is great. Me and my son and I watched that over the Christmas holidays.
It explains a lot of how the Resistance got started.
Yeah, it took me about a quarter of the way through to get into it, but once I got into it, it was good.
So you saw how I did that, right? That was one of the things, the sports and ESPN Plus, that I did for myself through all these years of raising these kids and whatever. I think that's a nice spill into what we're going to talk about today of parent guilt. We haven't talked a lot about parenting in a little while, dealing with family and all of that. So do things for yourself guilt-free. Let's talk about parent guilt. Gregory, you're a parent. You ever feel guilty?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
All the time, man.
Yeah, it's an epidemic. And you hear people throw that word around, but when you think of an epidemic, I mean, what does that do in your mind when something is an epidemic? Because to me, you look here, I mean, definition, I think Google definition or whatever, widespread occurrence of an infectious disease in a community at a particular time, right?
Yeah.
Widespread occurrence. Why does it have to be an infectious disease? And even if you look at infection, emotions, just like yawning, right? Is yawning as infectious? You ever hear that?
It's contagious.
It's contagious?
Yep.
It's infectious? Well, if we really start to needle in on mental health and incorporating that into our society, we need to understand the infectious nature of that, so that when I say something and I express my guilt for doing something, that infects you in a way for feeling guilty about something that you did or that same thing, and we can feed each other into feeling horrible.
Okay.
You ever think of it that way?
I don't think I have, but that kind of makes sense if you don't catch yourself.
I started thinking that with this because I haven't really thought of it that way with epidemic. People throw that word around. When you get a pandemic or an epidemic of the flu that's supposed to be really bad this year, people get really concerned about that. It's newsworthy. You'll see it on the news, right?
Of course you do.
Yeah. Well, emotional matters really are, as we incorporate into the health field, the same thing. I would maintain that parents have always felt a sense of this. That social media has accentuated it and experience it exponentially as a result of what we see on, Facebook and just all over the place, right? That creates a full-blown, by golly, epidemic with parent guilt. I really feel like we are so, as a society, critical of parents. And man, part of my agenda, I guess I'll be honest, this time is to help that get stopped. Think that's possible, Mr. Graves?
Got to start somewhere.
We just did hope, right?
Yeah.
Come on, man, give me a hopeful response of some
Well,
level.
that's what I say. You got to start somewhere. Can you change the world? You change yourself, and then those around you begin to change, and it spreads out. So maybe so.
Sounds like a certain yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, let's try. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it today. I challenge all of you out there that are parents that are part of this epidemic. We need to make a CNN news flash. Society's crisis. Newfound identified epidemic. Parent guilt. We'll get on the news. How about that?
Well, if you can spin it that way, I'm sure you'll be on the news. If you can create fear in the hearts of Americans, then you'll be on the national news.
There you go.
Anytime soon.
Listen.
And then we can create a pill to fix it and get rich.
Hey, now we're... I sense the sarcasm. I really loved the tacit knowledge episode that we did, with Dr. Ted Spickler, because it really has played on into my mind with a lot of what I do, man. And that's where we get on to talking about here. The what of this matter is, what is this that people really do experience? Because he talked about tacitly understanding the experience of what it is that we're doing in our day-to-day life. And if you think about really being needling in and going deep on how do we really experience this, this is profound in my mind with, how we understand ourselves. I mean, you could say, yeah, I tend to be a guilty parent, but let me put you on the spot. Do you really know what that means and how you experience guilt as a parent? Because after this list, I think you'll be like, oh, yep, that, yep, oh, that too, yep, that, yeah. But as I ask you, do you know how you feel guilty?
How do I feel guilty? That's probably a pretty good question, I think. Something I've never really analyzed. But
or tacitly understood about ourselves?
I think the thing is you just wonder if you're doing the right things, I think our job as parents is to set our kids up for success when we're no longer with them. And you think, the way I handle that situation, is that going to help or hinder them down the road, if I let my emotions get to me and I become angry over something I think I shouldn't have, then there's always that thing of, golly, I shouldn't have acted that way, or I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that differently, or whatever that is, or whatever comes up that way. I think is kind of how I feel. I feel guilt. I think my kids probably have it pretty good overall, But I mean, those little things nag at you, Those little things nag at you.
I really feel like you have a pretty universal experience in parenting where you feel very, very isolated, and you have a constant level of second guessing. And I can just tell you my experience of that has been so rewarding is, and I'm sure that you're going to nod and agree with this, that breaks that down a little bit. All those conversations you have with parents on the side of baseball fields, or in the basketball stands, or at the dance recitals when you're waiting for your kid at the car and you hang around in the car line, and you start finding out other parents have kids that won't brush their teeth also.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think
other parents' kids won't pick the wrappers up off of the couches.
Yeah, I'm sure we're all sharing the same experiences as parents with our children. I mean,
but it's honestly almost surprising to me, even knowing that, when I have those conversations. I probably had one with you years ago.
Maybe so, maybe so. And I look back on the things I did as a kid, and I think, man, my kids are really good compared to what I was doing at that time,
I tend to be the opposite at times. More recently with mine, as we're struggling a little bit right now with some things, but that's probably why. I just feel like, the biggest thing I really would like to accomplish really from this conversation is helping parents to truly understand you're not alone, and to secondarily blow a hole in society's tendency to really judge parents. Parents get judged, and we need to be super careful about that. So that tacit learning thing, man, understanding yourself and how you really experience it, I think is what I was after there. And you had a good answer, but maybe I'll ask you at the end of our list here, see how you feel about how many of them don't apply, because I think they almost all apply to all of us at some point. Which, by the way, let me back up too. This is another one of those cool ones where this is just kind of a brainstorm one again. I'm starting to enjoy these shows a little bit even more and more as we go, because less and less do I have like drier clinical stuff like last time we did Asperger's and we had to kind of do diagnostic stuff a little bit. Man, this is just getting down to me thinking about it and talking about what I was thinking about and what I see from my clients in the office and stuff from time to time, and I could tell you that this list of things that we have insofar as how do you really experience this. I work with parents all the time in my office. Part of it is trying to validate their experience of themselves being a good parent, because they do not feel that way.
So this is an issue you're talking about with clients in your sessions?
Constantly.
Really?
When I get a kid in my office and I'm pulling parents in to kind of get collateral information and we're having conversations, I mean, they are just, parents out there are feeling, well, hopeless.
Do people come to you for that reason, or do you find these things out and have these discussions as a result of some other thing they're working on?
Both.
Really?
Yeah, both.
So people come in and say, hey, Chris, I'm a terrible parent, man. I need some help.
Well, they don't say I'm a terrible parent, but they say I don't know what I'm doing. I need some ideas. Like, I feel like I have no options. I've tried everything with this kid.
Yeah, you didn't give him the book?
Actually, I do.
You got a book? I'd like to see that.
Anytime we're talking about parenting, it's Love and Logic. You remember that material? Yeah. That's actually as closest thing that we could have to the handbook. But
yeah, I should have thought about that. I mean, there's books on parenting. I mean, I think some of them, I've actually read a couple books on parenting. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are mixed. I mean,
yeah, it's actually not even a book. It's a mentality. It's a whole way of doing things that I am highly praising of, because they
with that Love and Logic mentality.
Yeah,
we did a show on that. If you haven't heard it, go back and find the Love and Logic parenting show.
They'll change your mentality 180 degrees.
It's pretty interesting. Some of that I don't agree with, I think, but it was a pretty interesting show and interesting concept. Some people take that to what others would consider to be extremes. But it changes the way you think, I think. It's an interesting way of looking at it.
Curious what you don't agree with. One of the big things I think you were like, let the kid do anything they want to do. But then you heard a podcast from somebody who was.
Well, I'm not so sure I want to give my kids the options that the guy gave his.
Ben Greenfield.
Yeah. He's got 9-year-old twins, and he said that he's explained to them the consequences of their actions, and if they want to, snip a little whiskey or do whatever they, I don't know, whatever they want. I'm not sure if he draws any boundaries, but I did hear him say that his kids could do things like that, but they know the consequences of their actions. So at what point do you step in and say, no, you're not going to do that, And that's where I kind of have some maybe disagreements with that strategy.
Or additions. I mean, as with anything, a major experience of doing something or a mentality or a whole understanding, as we talk about that tacit knowledge, it's a way of thinking, and there's many applications, and you can add your own things in that concept of a way of thinking with those concepts.
So kind of to reiterate, I think the strategy is you let your kid do whatever they want to as long as there's no consequences or ramifications to hurt anybody else or to harm anybody else or, so if I tell my kid the dangers of drinking whiskey, for example, and he decides to bring a bottle of whiskey home, he says, Dad, I'm going to drink this whiskey and sit in my room. I'm not going to hurt anybody or whatever. I'll just sit in my room by myself, drink. I'm going to say, no, I don't think you are, bud.
Yeah.
But I think that love and logic parenting model you talked about might say, let them do that if they want to. Just understand the consequences of it. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to let you do that.
Yeah, but which is, of course, against the law.
It is against the law. But, I mean.
And the law of the land and the home and all that factors
What does
in.
the love and logic go based on laws? We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's causing a problem for me as a liable parent. I'm liable for your behavior, and that's not going to fly. So that's going to cause a problem for me. And so you need to fix that problem and put the alcohol down for sure. And if you don't, then you might not have hands in order to hold that bottle. I'll take care of the problems. That's a joke, sort of. But you're right. You remembered it exactly correctly. I want to get off of that, though, and get to where we're at here. But that's awesome. You picked that up and learned it. Kid, you could do anything that you want as long as you don't cause any problems for anyone else. I saw that you caused a problem there, so you need to fix your problem. I see that you haven't fixed the problem, so don't worry about that. No problem. I'll fix the problem. And then you come around and you create high structure for it. That's the stream of consciousness that they offer, and there's many applications and concepts that's a part of it, like protect your energy. Let your kids work out their own problems. Get out of the way so that they learn lessons. They have to fail and get hurt, and let them do that. There's a lot of things that go into it.
Yeah, I'm all about those things.
Well, let's go back to how we experience parent guilt. So, feeling of people typically going after or having done something wrong or unintentionally or accidentally. So, I thought that was an interesting thing when you look at what is guilt. How many times do we take unintentional actions and intentional actions and reassess, like, I didn't even intend to do that? There's so many things that go on in the course of a relationship with a parent-child. A lot of unintended actions that you're assessing. I didn't even do that, sort of, but then I screwed up. It's a lot going on from day to day to day in the way that we really experience this. I already said they get thrown under their bus, but is it possible to say that parents are the most criticized group of people ever?
Parents are the most criticized group of people ever. There's probably some truth to that. Yeah, I think there's probably some truth to that.
Yeah, I don't know who else could be criticized more. Politicians.
Yeah, that's the first thought that came to my mind.
Right, but how many people are politicians?
Very few, thank God.
How many people are non-critical of their talk about how parenting goes on. Let's think about that for a second. Have you heard conversations, I might even say ever, where people are like, wow, the way we're doing parenting now generally is so much better than it used to be?
I don't know. Is it? Is it better?
In some ways, it's got to be.
I mean, how so? I mean, what do you?
Why is it always bad?
Well, I think this everybody gets a trophy
Of course.
kind of mentality that we've been using now for however long has created some people who aren't as motivated and productive and as resilient as generations in the past have been.
You know, our parents were criticized in exactly the same way. And I'm not old enough to know, but I think our parents' criticized in the same way by their parents. And on and on and on it goes. I feel like we are so judgmental of the way we're dealing with family life that it's a no-win. It feels like a no-win situation. And I agree. I have a lot of views about how crazy thoughts that we have and the rapid nature of the world today and you know, keeping up with the Joneses and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, actually that was number 4, right? Keeping up with the Joneses. That's the way we experience this. I don't know that that's so different from generation to generation. I really don't.
You don't think what's different?
That cohorts of parents have been criticized less over eons.
So you think that the level of criticism has been the same throughout?
Yes.
I don't know, man. Maybe so, but maybe for different reasons. It seems to me that as parents now versus when I was a kid, parents are much more engaged.
Which is good.
They're much more engaged. Is it though? I mean, I think it can be.
Can be bad too.
But we don't want our children to experience any pain or any failure or any hardship. And I think that's probably been a constant theme. Somebody did a research study on the Greatest Generation. And they asked them why they were so great. And they said, because we had it so hard. That's why we were so great, you know.
Yeah.
World War II, their fathers were all off at war, all this stuff, you know. And they said, well, what's one thing that you would change for your children? And they said, we wouldn't make it as hard for them. So the thing that made them great was the thing they were going to take away to make their lives easier.
Right.
You know, and I think that we do that today. We make things so easy for our kids that we're taking away some of the things that could potentially make them great.
I totally agree with that. You know, I mean, I think my point right here though is with getting out of a guilty perspective to point out the strengths as well as the weaknesses of what we're doing. I mean, I could go toe to toe with anybody, you and 5 other people all at the same time, included with the concerns that I have about things that we are doing and how we want to change that. Because love and logic, that stuff would say, yeah, let your kids screw up. Let them screw up a lot. Let them have a super hard time crying themselves to bed, trying to figure out the solution to their dating problem or whatever it is. Like, I agree, you know, but at the same time, I think if we're going to be enabled to get out of this, and we'll talk about that, you know, the second half of how do we turn this around to compassion for parents. I think to get out of that, we need to feel, you know, empowered and uplifted to get out of a guilt perspective, so that, think about it, if I'm not feeling a guilt experience constantly with my kid, I'm going to be more able to sit back and let them screw up.
Yeah. So, right. So you don't want to feel guilty, so you're going to bail them out of whatever situation.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
Right.
You know, you have to, if you're going to take that stance and you're going to let the chips fall so they have some hardship, then maybe you have to. But if you really feel confident that that's the right thing to do, then maybe you're not going to feel guilty about letting them go through that experience either.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Let me go down through my list of brainstorming thoughts on how do parents really experience this, and then we'll pick it up because we're only about halfway through. Guilt, typically, specifically doing something wrong intentionally or unintentionally. Society throws them under the bus, and they experience that all over the place. 3, did something wrong in their own view, like, did I really do that to my kid? 4, keeping up with the Joneses, and I didn't mention middle school and shoes. See how I bolted shoes.
Yeah, shoes. I don't get the shoes thing, man.
Did you go through that too?
With my kid, I did, but not when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, man. I didn't either. There was something about like, if I don't have the right shoes, Dad, it's going to be the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Hey, God bless it. My kids actually ponied up some money to get their shoes. I think more than once.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I'm not paying $130 for shoes. I'll give you $50. I'll give you $70 or whatever.
Yeah, I've told my kid that too. Hey, how much are those new shoes you want? $250. Yeah, you better pick a different pair.
$250. All right, the rest I'll just blow through, and then we'll go back once one sound interesting. Intentionally did harm by one's own opinion or doubts about themselves and their parenting. Again, this is all, how do parents really experience the hopelessness and guilt epidemic? Complete confusion, number 7 here, right? What the heck am I to do with this one? I don't know what to do, and I should know what to do. Screen time, number 8, balancing that. The fight is on, I said. Diet and nutrition confusion, even with science, right? Parents are feeling all of that. I want McDonald's and other convenient foods, and we're told give them broccoli and eat right and vitamins, and you just get bombarded with what's the right thing to do. Lack of information on the complexities of life and child development. Parents don't know sometimes very basic child development realities and the complexities of life that we have nowadays. We experience it with home work-life balance, dual earner families. How many people are single earner families out there? They exist. Matter of fact, I almost kind of experienced that kind of coming back around. Have you heard that at all or felt that?
No, I don't. I haven't heard that. I don't know. I think.
It used to be the norm, single earner families. Now nobody is, But
I think most parents I know are divorced, and the ones that aren't are dual income families.
Actually, I didn't have that on my list. Where am I at? Number 9 or 10? We should have number 13 here, divorce. Are you a horrible parent if you get divorced? People could feel that way in that situation. 12, parents' criticism of the child who is a parent, right?
You weren't raised like that. That's funny.
Yeah. One of the biggest criticizers that really bites into you, I believe, are the parents of the parent. Right? You might get some validating parents out there that are helping their kids parent the grandkids, and I think that's the case. But I tell you, a lot of times I think, I don't know what percentage it would be, validating grandparents or critical grandparents. I feel like much more typical is it for grandparents to get frustrated with the grandkids because they're like, I don't know why that kid is acting like that. I didn't teach you to act like that, and we need to do better. Like, this is my grandkid.
Yeah, I haven't heard about a whole lot of grandparents who are critical of, at least in my experience. Maybe you are in your therapy sessions, but I'm not hearing a lot of that in my circles.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the things I often tell my clients and talk about, is my own experience going from kid 1 to kid 2. It's funny because I've told this story 1,000 times. Now I can put it on a podcast and hopefully it just stays out there. When I had my first kid, of course, I didn't know anything about what we were doing, and I figured out the diapers and how to hold the baby and what the schedules and the balancing was going to be, and can't go hang out with my buddies as much. I got to stay here and do this, and and I enjoyed all the family life. I was ready to throw myself into it, and I figured it all out. Figured out how to actually make a bottle. Right, but time, a year or 2 or 3 rolled around. See, because my second kid's 3.5 years younger. I got my new baby here, baby number 2. Adam, I'm sorry, buddy. I thrust a bottle into his face, all cold and nasty, and he was like ticked off. I'm like, what's wrong? What did I forget?
Well, that's like a running joke, right? As you have more kids, it's like, he'll be all right. Brush him off.
Well, that's true. That's true, but you still ought to be able to be smart enough to heat the bottle up.
Something happens to the first kid, you run to the hospital real quick, like, oh my God, Yeah. Something happens to the second kid, and you're like, oh my God, I need to bandage you up. You do the business at home. The third kid gets hurt. It's like, they'll be all right.
The fourth kid doesn't even get noticed.
Rub some dirt on it. Yeah. They'll be fine.
Well, my thing is I forgot. I literally just forgot what was kind of a basic part of getting a bottle. Just pop it in a mic for, for 10 seconds and whatever before you go out with it. And it just dawned on me as I did that how much you forget what it's really like day in and day out. Even if you are a parent, I submit that you probably forgot what it's like to really experience it. Right now, mine are, 19 and here in 15, 18 and 15 in a minute years old, right? So it's like, that's been much more than 10 years since I've had a baby. I don't know how to handle a baby right now. I mean, I know and I remember and, I can get it back pretty quickly if I had another baby. But I don't really know what it's like because it's been 15 years since that's happened.
Yeah.
So grandparents, really, been 40 years sometimes. Can you remember 40 years ago what it was really like? No. If I had trouble 3 years later remembering something simple like that, then I'm going to be pretty judgmental about something that I'm really not experiencing, and that's dangerous. Let me say that again. I'm going to be pretty judgmental about something that I really don't know what the experience is actively like, and that's dangerous because you don't know. You're not in it. People that don't have kids just don't fully get the drain and the challenge and the guilt and the feelings and the emotions and the pride and the pure joy and the elation and the up and down, right?
Yeah, people who don't have kids have nothing to say to somebody who does.
Yep.
Yep.
I actually think I would maintain that.
Yeah.
How's that for a terrible therapy judgmental statement? But well, I agree.
It is what it is.
True.
Yeah.
Right. So let's wrap that up and spend a lot more time a little bit on turning parent guilt to compassion. How can we really become compassionate towards parents and stuff? Let's spend some good time on that. How do we really get out of this? We got the who is everybody, the what. How do we really get out of this? Let's take a break for our sponsor, Craig. Craig, who is our sponsor?
Not really a sponsor, but we've got an affiliateship with a company that produces health supplements called Whole Family Products. And if you click on our site, if you go to our site, throughwiththerapisteyes.com, and you click on the Whole Family Products graphic on there, then it takes you to their site where you'll find 126 different natural type health supplements. They've got hormone creams, CBD oils, nutritional supplements, anti-aging products, I'll say. 126 different things out there. Sleep aids. We did a show on sleep.
Let me jump in, Craig. I don't usually do, but I want to challenge the audience. Hit the reverse button, guys. Hit the reverse button for just a second on the podcast show, and let's play this over again. Here's why. Because we really want to arm you in helping you as part of our community. Take ownership of the Through a Therapist's Eyes community and help us grow the show. Send the links to people. Have conversations with at least one person this week. And thirdly, Get on there and to the website, throughwiththerapisteyes.com. Craig, I have a little bit of an agenda this year to kind of get people hipped up to helping us out with that. There's really a lot of amazing stuff that's on there, Craig. I've kind of dug into it. I've always let you do that, but I'm kind of more aware of it now in what's out there. Very affordable products. $20 is a lot of the mid price point for these products that people are probably buying anyway, and they could be doing it here and help us out. Hemp seed oil. I mean, that's, people are all about. That's like $14.95 to $22.50. Keto 3000. We had a show on the keto diet, right?
We did.
Right? This looks like an amazing product. I've let you talk about it, but I've kind of looked at it and talked about it with people specifically. Dude, this is good stuff.
It really is good stuff. I used to sell these products or some of these products on Amazon, and there's a product called MenoBalance that helps ladies with menopause, and there's a PMS cream that helps ladies with that issue. And those used to sell like hotcakes for me and always got rave reviews. So I know we have a lot of lady listeners, so those may be things that you might be interested in checking out there too. And I know Brenda Albano, who is the owner of the company. She's a great person, has a heart for helping people with their health and issues like that. And it's a great company, man.
Let's highlight, Craig, Sleep Weight Loss product, right? Sleep Weight Loss is made up of a proprietary blend of natural ingredients that have been proven to support the body's natural processes for restful sleep, including, we talked about hormones and neurotransmitters and stuff. I don't know what these chemicals are, but check out this chemical list. Because this product for $14.95, Sleep Weight Loss, includes arginine, glutamine, ornithine, colostrum, and lysine. Lose weight and sleep great is what it says. I mean, if you're trying these types of products, this is amazing.
They're natural products that help the body do its natural thing. So those creams that I just talked about are made with a thing called the wild yam. And what it does is it stimulates the body to increase its natural production of hormones. So everything on the site's natural and quality stuff.
Get back to the show. Man, I listened to the playback of our little mid thing there. I'll be honest with you, I might turn into a bit of a health nut, Craig, if I keep on hanging out with you, man.
You need to, dude.
I don't know, man. Herbs and vitamins and weird foods, but I'll tell you one thing I will never do. I'm gonna make a pledge to you. If you get into my head and work me over and get me like this health nut kind of thing, I ain't never eating a raw egg, dude. Just can't do it.
Hey, never say never.
Can't do it. The texture's just not right for me. All right, let's needle in here. Let's go deep dive on my brainstorm with turning parent guilt into compassion. Because compassion given to parents, and more importantly, compassion given to yourself as a parent, is huge in order to try to be a good parent. Let me say that again, right? Compassion given to parents, and or more importantly, compassion that you give yourself as a parent, is crucial in order to be a good parent. You cannot parent out of guilt. You can't do it effectively. If you're feeling guilty, you're screwed. I might even make that statement as a broad underlying, that's it, sort of reality statement. Sometimes I refer to them as an emotional fact. If you're parenting out of guilt, you're going to be ineffective. How's that for a statement?
Yeah, I agree. No disagreements here.
So let's get that turned into compassion, and we'll be more effective immediately. So first of all, you've had kids, Craig. How many times have you been worried what my kid is doing? I know. Lots of kids do lots of things. Nah, but listen, man, really, what my kid is doing, this ain't normal. This is a problem. This isn't right. Have you ever thought that? I have.
I don't think I've thought that, to be completely honest.
Really, I've worried, like, even with stupid things before I knew, it's like, what kid wouldn't brush their teeth? Why would kids not brush their teeth? I mean, that's...
Yeah, what kid would brush their teeth?
Well, I know that now, but when I was a parent at, only 3.5, 4 years in, I'm thinking, do you not understand there's cavities, man? I mean...
No, they don't understand.
They don't.
They don't care.
So, but a new parent is really not going to understand, they really don't pick up their shoes? Like, generally speaking, if you have a quandary and a wonder at any point, have other kids acted like this? Other kids don't act like this. I don't see anybody saying the F word. That the kids don't do that. I'm going to tell you, an overwhelming majority of the time that you ask that question, do other kids do this? The answer is going to be
yes. It's going to be a resounding yes.
Resounding yes. And I think parents ask that question all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Right.
So you still think you never thought they're not doing normal?
I don't think I've ever. I even when they're screwing up. I mean, because I can walk into my son's room. He's 16, and it looks like a bomb went off in there, right?
Oh, man.
And I'm like, dude, if you would just put your dirty clothes in the hamper, and take your dirty dishes downstairs, it wouldn't look like this.
Yep.
But I can remember back when I was his age, and I did the exact same thing.
Well, see, there probably are. I'm glad to hear that, because there probably are gradients of this. Some parents are eat up with this stuff tremendously so, and maybe some parents are pretty grounded with it. And here, I'm super glad to hear that, if that's the case, because that's super parenting to be able to have a confidence and a groundedness about that. I mean, Craig, that's what we're after. So I'm glad to hear that. There's maybe a lot of parents out there that need to know, though, you can get into this kind of framework where, they're acting the way I did. It's okay.
Yeah.
This is normal.
Yeah. It's funny because I use myself as a frame of reference quite a bit. And if my son goes to somebody's house to spend the night, especially if it's somebody I don't know, I always call. I always call the parent to make sure that that's the plan,
Oh, really? Still?
Yeah. Yeah. And my kid's like, Dad, why do you always call? And I say, because when I was 16, I would tell my mother I was going over to Ricky's house. He would tell his parents he was coming to my house, and we'd stay out all night. I mean, seriously, when I was 16 years old, I was doing that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we were getting into all kind of mischief. So I'm like, I know how the game's played, pal. I'm checking up on you, man.
Poor kid.
Yeah, right.
Oh, poor kid.
To his credit, every time I've called, that's been the deal. He hasn't tried to pull a fast one yet.
That's cool.
Probably because he knows better.
Yeah.
But, I've got a frame of reference, and it's me in a lot of cases.
So realize it's normal. More than likely, you did it. They are doing it. It's normal. Stop worrying, and you'll be more compassionate. You don't have to worry about something is totally abnormally wrong here. No, it probably really isn't. Number 2, mistakes will be made. If you can accept that fact and then actually learn from them as you make mistakes as a parent, you'll be much better off. Craig, you ever make any mistakes?
Oh, yeah.
In your view?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, I feel guilty about that.
Absolutely.
Look, my overriding belief with parents is they are doing the best, almost 100% of the time. They're doing the best they can do with what they have to offer and what they know for their kids. I believe that right down the line, almost even in the extreme and rare cases where you got, parents that are bona fide DSS needs to get their butt in there and get this kid neglectful. That parent is still operating with the best capacity that they have and what they know and what they can.
Yeah, I think that when I read compassion on here, given compassion, that's what I thought. Most parents that I know, now I do know some who are just like you're saying, whack jobs that, but in most cases, parents are doing the best they can and making decisions based on their conscience or research they've done or whatever. They've got the kid and their own best intentions at heart. I think that they're trying. Right.
They're absolutely trying with everything they got.
Yeah.
Sometimes
so it's easy for me to judge. Like I could judge Greenfield, and say, well, man, what are you doing? But that's what he thinks is the best for his kids.
Mm-hmm.
These people who don't vaccinate, they're doing what they think is best for their kid. I mean, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we like it or not, or whether we agree with it or not, they think they're doing the best thing for their kid.
Right. And we have to have compassion about that. I would submit to you, even like an alcoholic who's ravaged by the issues of addiction or any of the other, troubles that might be afflicting somebody. They're definitely not being very effective parents, but they're trying and they care. I still want to take their kids because they're not getting 3 square meals or even a meal for the day, and that's a problem. But that parent needs to be supported.
Yeah. One of the things I'll say about making mistakes, at least for me, and maybe you can give me your outlook as a therapist, but if I mess up and I know I've messed up, then I'll admit that to my kid.
Totally.
And if apology is owed, then I'll say, hey, look, I'm sorry, I screwed that up. Shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have said that. Should have done this differently. I think that also shows them that it's okay to admit you're wrong. And
it's
genuine. You messed up. It's genuine. But I think it also helps to deal with the guilt too. Because if I do something wrong, I feel like crap about it, and then I tell my kid, hey, I did this, I'm sorry. And they say, you know what, Dad, it's okay. which they always do.
Couldn't agree more.
Then I don't carry any. I don't carry that guilt with me.
Couldn't agree more. It's a perfect way to deal with guilt. Let the kid know. I mean, what better way to teach them than to show them I screwed up? I mean, to appear infallible is unrealistic, and I would submit that's the quickest way to get a kid to blow you off. So you're trying to teach life lessons, right? And I had a teacher in college. Man, love him. He was my favorite teacher, I think, Jerome Colville. And I remember, man. He's up in the cold state of Minnesota now, I think. Hey, Jerome, if you're listening or hear this, I want you're one of the best. This stuck with me. He gave us a sheet about teaching. If you show the long math, and he had a problem where it was a long math that this teacher was showing on the board, it was much more effective than the teacher who just showed the long math equation and just showed the answer, none of the work. The students were like, "Oh my God, I can't do that." But he sat up here for a half an hour doing the long math and working hard and stopping and thinking. I think he even had a consultation with somebody in the story that he told. It wasn't a real story, but it was a made-up thing. But point was, show your struggle, you decrease your guilt, and you actually teach even better. Mm-hmm. Excellent point.
Yeah.
Rely on others, number 3. I guess that's number 4 because you got one. And I didn't think I had that on my list, by the way, Craig. Don't try to do all this stuff and think about all this stuff alone. That's not wise. You cannot know what to do all the time. And even if you're a super smart parent and incredibly experienced with 5 kids, if you tap into the resources that are all around you and talk to other parents, then you're going to be much better off. Don't think you got to do this alone.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice too. And I mean, I like for my kids to have other people that I respect and trust in their lives, because it's good for them to hear things from other people. My 25-year-old son and my 16-year-old son's kind of getting there now, but at one time, man, he wouldn't listen to anything I said. Right. His grandfather could say the exact same thing that I was saying to him, and he would act like it was a revelation. And I'm like, dude, I've been saying that for the past 6 months,
You've told me that before, and I'm right now, with my kid being 18, he's right in the middle of it, man. I can't tell him anything. It's like...
Yeah, so I think it's good to have other people.
And I need that right now.
Men and women who can say stuff to your son or daughter, and they'll get it.
Yeah. I mean, you've told me that. We've talked about that just in our life, and it's when you told that story to me for the first time or talked about that was incredibly validating to my own brain. I'm like, oh man, really, and I will. I look at Austin and I'll be like, oh man, he's really gonna come back around.
Yeah,
it's true. Because I'm not experiencing that right now. Like seriously, I'm not experiencing that. I almost can't even see it.
Yeah,
I know it'll happen.
Yeah, it'll come back around eventually.
But I can't see it.
Yeah, I think Austin was about 20 years old when that happened.
God, I'll give it 4 more years. We'll just get some extra time. Positive self-talk. I need to practice what I preach right now. Number 5, avoid the negative brain and all the potential negative outcomes that you can imagine for yourself, man. Seeking encouragement from other people also. I skipped one. Particularly of the same developmental state. And I put that out there just brainstorming this, Craig. If you can be mindful about talking to people like we just demonstrated, you're almost in the same developmental state as I am, because I'm just after that. Would you say he's 20?
He was. He's 25 now.
25 now.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit further out, but still. If you could get somebody that's in the same developmental boat, they're dealing with the same issues, that's just an incredibly smart thing to do. Baseball field talk, if you will.
Yeah, that positive self-talk thing, if I could interject there, I think that a lot of that comes from working on yourself as a parent, because if you're negative Nelly to everybody else, you're not going to be positive in front of your kid.
Look at number 7.
Yeah, there you go. Take care of self.
Yep.
Yeah.
It does. Positive self-talk is work on taking care of yourself, and being negative Nelly is just going to make you mean.
Yeah, go back and listen to the episode on mindfulness and also the Unbeatable Mind book review we did for some tips on how to be more internally aware and positive.
Yeah, I kind of dropped the ball on that a little bit. I like to have with the show notes the ideas of the shows that play off each other. You know, I apologize for our community, man. I've kind of let that out, but you're right. I mean, we have now shows that you can go pop back onto, and we have like 4 or 5 of them with this one.
Yeah.
They're all good conversations, and we can go deeper on different things now.
Yeah.
So that mindfulness. Which ones did you just point out?
I don't know.
Unbeatable Mind.
The Unbeatable Mind book review, the mindfulness episode. I published a short on trans taking negative thoughts and turning them to positive.
Gotcha. Realizing that there are many ways to accomplish the same goal. What is it? All roads lead to Rome. Is that the right way to make that expression?
I've never heard that one, but that's probably good.
All roads, most roads. Yeah, I think it's just the right way of saying it. All roads lead to Rome. It's the idea that, man, you're going to get to the center, Golden City, by multiple routes. You don't need to go the right way, the wrong way. Avoid. Go the only one right way. That ain't going to work. Realize, give yourself a break. Cut yourself some slack. You're going to do it your way in a way that you feel is the best way, and there's multiple ways that are the best ways. I mean, you know, there's I would rather you think about like the love and logic stuff with what's the mentality that you're coming at with this. Get out of the specifics in the rat race of, you know, what's right and what's wrong right now. Well, you know, you're still going to teach a life lesson in multiple ways. So that'll help you to relax. Yeah, never said take care of self. Can't count on others for when you're not taking care of yourself. I mean, we're not going to spend too long time on this because we talked about it on this show a lot in different ways. You know, the airplane reality or metaphor, right? Put the oxygen mask on you. If you don't, you die and they die too. It's so true. You true. That rhymes, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Realize you're not alone. Other parents struggle with the teeth brushing routines as well. And yes, their kids have clothes on the floor. And I tell you, only my kids. No, that's not true. Reviewing, right? Realize a lot of behavior is normal. Mistakes will be made. Rely on other people. Seek encouragement from other parents that are particularly currently in the same developmental boat. Hit positive self-talk. Make sure you're not being negative Nelly. Realize there are many, many, many ways to accomplish the same life lesson you're trying to teach. Take care of yourself. Don't be guilty about that. Realize you're not alone. Other parents are struggling as well. Here's another one. I already talked about it. Number 9. Check it out.
Love and Logic.
Yeah. I don't know why I've listed that one on here.
Isn't that loveandlogic.com? Is that the
I think so.
site?
I think so. I don't know why I listed that on here. We're trying to turn compassion. Well, you know, I do now. Now I do. I remember. One of the things I really like about their strategies, Craig, is that they're really protective of the parents' energy. And they're very validating of, like, parents need to take care of themselves in the ways that we're kind of talking about here today. And have compassion towards your kids. So it's like, you know, it's really tough to be a parent. You got to give yourself praise for that and compassion for that. At the same time, it's really tough to be a kid. Just let them know, hey, I know we're struggling with this. This is a tough problem. This is a tough one. And then back out, take care of yourself, and let them take care of it. And then you both feel better when you watch the kid have successes. So that's what I think I was looking at, and being compassionate. They talk a lot about that. Winding down, 3 or 4 more to go on my brainstorm on how to turn parent guilt into compassion. Realize it's okay to protect your own energy. The kid can do it themselves. They can get it done. You don't have to do it for them. If they don't do it, it doesn't get done, and it's okay. Right?
Yep.
If the kid doesn't do it and they need to do it, they don't do it and it doesn't get done, it's okay. Well, that might mean they don't pass the test. Well, that might mean they, don't get the Eagle Scout or the college scholarship or their shoes tied today going to school. Right?
Yeah.
That's a tough one to really believe. Oh, it's okay. Let them know that
Well, if you go back
they
to
can do
your love and logic strategies, not getting the scholarship affects you as a parent.
it.
So get on them, make them study.
Not if I ain't paying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you are paying, then that's going to help you out. I think that's a different thing. We ought to talk about college anxiety.
Oh, wow.
At some point, man.
Yeah, I will write that down when we're done with the show. If you got a pen, jump up and get a pen, really.
I'll remember that.
Will you?
Yeah.
Because that is totally true. Yeah,
I'd love to do a show on college debt.
Oh, college debt and going into college and being into the world and graduating high school. I mean, it's there's a lot there. Yeah, there's a lot there. All right, number 11, perfection is not the goal, man. I can't tell you how many parents think they're trying to be the perfect parent and they have to be the perfect parent. Like, perfect. I got to be the perfect mom. I got to cook right. I got to have the right nutrition. I got to have the right strategy for the teeth. I got to get the right dentist. I got to get the right doctor. I got to have the right public school. I have the right shoes, the right nutrition. Did I say nutrition? Oh my God. And dudes do it too. I gotta have enough hours in the baseball cage with my kid. I gotta be the coach. I gotta be, the right cook. I gotta keep the house fixed and right and warm. I gotta make sure the humidifier is at the right digit of humidifying temperature for the house. It's crazy. The things that we try to do to be perfect moms and dads. Here's a tip. Stop it. That's just not the goal.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Go look up that Newhart video from
Love
Saturday
that
Night
thing,
Live.
man.
That's great.
Love it.
That is a good one.
I've actually played that more than once.
I'm going to post that on the Facebook page, guys, so check that out.
Oh, that'll be a good post.
Yeah.
That's an awesome post. You can't stop the child from hurting in this world. Realize this, number 12. Instead, realize they can be learning moments. I don't like the phrase tough love, to be honest with you, but I like it in the sense that it's a generally understood concept that is a good reminder for parents.
Why don't you like the word tough love?
I can't even really totally put my finger on it because I feel like there's better words that can encapsulate what it is that we're trying to do, in relationship to letting the kid experience this and to figure out the problem, rather than stepping in to take care of it. Tough love just feels like to me a weird way of saying that, and I haven't ever figured it out yet. It'll pop on me at some point.
But you're not against the concept.
No, not against the concept at all.
Okay.
No, the concept's great, and like I said, I like the phrase because people generally know what that means, and that's what I'm talking to here. Tough love, can't stop the kid from hurting in this world. Let them realize that they can actually learn from it. Let those things happen, man. You want to let them be and let them hurt, and I know that sucks. Moms and dads out there, I know it sucks to watch your kid hurt, but you're going to be much more effective if you're there to support them and encourage them in a compassionate and loving way without taking care of the daggone problem. Don't fix it. And that's the concept of tough love. Lastly, in my little brainstorm here, take the pressure off. Realize this kid is going to figure it out. What's important to them, they will figure it out. They have a brain. Their brain will help them figure this stuff out. And they will actually survive. And believe it or not, an incredibly vast majority of the time, not only are they just fine, but they thrive. And I think that if you can carry that visualization and carry that insight into your mind throughout, the experience of being with these kids through their growing up years, you're going to be calmer. You're going to be okay. You're going to be effective. You're going to be compassionate. You're not going to feel guilty. And you'll confidently enjoy their successes as they go along. So take the pressure off. Realize this kid really is going to figure it out. They're going to be okay. They're going to have a brain and work it and survive. And actually, even more so, visualize that. Imagine that. See that. Experience that. Your kid's going to thrive. Isn't that a nice way to think?
That's a great way to think.
And that's usually true. You're not lying. You're not being naive. You're probably being pretty accurate if you start thinking in that way.
It's a great way to think.
So let's stay with that for a second. Let that marinate as you take us out of here, Craig. And unless you have thoughts, questions, or other things that we did an okay job in trying to blow up some of the guilt we feel as a society of parents.
I hope it helps some folks, man. I think it will.
So take us out of here, and I'll tell you where we're going next.
ThroughAtherapistEyes.com, folks. That's where you can find information about our show. You can find a blog entry for each individual show. You can stream from right there off of the website, or you can find us on just about any popular podcast platform. You'll also find links to our Facebook and Instagram on the site. And we have an email list you can sign up for, too. Love to be able to communicate with you that way. And where are we going next, man?
We're going to talk about fear.
Woohoo!
Fear is a powerful...
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
I love it. We'll see you next week, guys.